Hello there and good morning everyone. Whoa, hello, music. Got my confidence monitor next to me. So good to have you here. Paul Training, going to dive into today's Photoshop Masterclass all about mixing vector with raster and honestly getting into other tools as well, sort of like when can you use Photoshop, when should you jump into Illustrator, should you use Adobe Fresco, what's available to you in Photoshop. So it's going to be really fun, and I'm thankful that you're here. Hello. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. So good to have you here, Jason, Rose, Tracy, Darius. Let's dive into this right now. Again, I don't want to waste any time. I'm just glad you're here, and I want to be respectful of your time. So here I am in Photoshop. Obviously, we can do all we want with like raster, what Raster Graphics is. Like, obviously, it knows each individual pixel as I zoom in here. Yeah, all those fun little pixels, right? That's what it's saving, right? And we can have sort of vector assets as well. So, and usually, again, raster, pixel, whatever you want to call it. Let's go to my libraries. Let's drag out here. Here's a pixel-based image, right? There we have it. Boom. And then we can dive into vector assets. Again, this is a master class, so you should probably know the difference already. So off to the side right here, here are our vector-based tools largely, okay? And there's even a tool in here. The Freeform Pen Tool is interesting because this is basically the pencil in Illustrator. That's what the Freeform Pen Tool is, okay? And then you have a number of others over here. So you also have these tools down here. It's pretty straightforward. Again, I don't want to get too in the weeds with a lot of this, but let's take a look at something like the ellipse, right? So when we select something, we can jump in and we're gonna draw a shape. And the biggest mistake I see people making is something gets screwed up, and it's because they have path selected or pixels, right? But oftentimes they accidentally selected path. Another mistake people make, and I've made this before as well, right over here, you'll have one of these settings kind of messed up, like subtract front shape. Or one of these other options. So just make sure everything's reset, by the way, and then we can play with the path options. But jumping in here, yeah, I can go ahead and draw out a circle. We get the idea. Yeah, it's so exciting. You just made a circle, Paul. Wow, that's so wonderful, right? Let's do a clipping mask. That's a little better, right? Let's put a heart around her because, and again, welcome everybody. We're gonna do a really cool image that I'm excited about. We just need to kind of do a little bit of on-ramping first. Hello, Harith. Good to have you here. Good night if it's a good night for you, wherever you may be. If you're joining me out on YouTube or anywhere else. When it comes to vector assets, I usually like to sort of what do you say, load up, or I don't know, really, yeah, just kind of like load up a Photoshop with all sorts of cool things. So custom shape tool, right? This has been around forever, right? Selecting the custom shape tool, we get the shapes that we can pick from right up here, right? Notice how I have a number of shapes. What's up? Mary does it all the time. Thank you so much, Mary. Massimiliano. Good to have you here. So again, I have this cool heart. Hey, I could use that heart instead of that circle. There's our heart, drawing that out, kind of replacing it just like so. Just doing a clipping mask. Boom, 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 like so. Okay. Much better, right? You guys got it. So, and again, I don't know if you've loaded up Photoshop with a bunch of goodies like I have in here, but you want to be able to sort of have all your shapes at your fingertips for whenever you want to use them. How you access them is right over here in the Shapes panel, right? This is now a first-class citizen, which is why I'm glad you guys are here with me today, right? Vector shapes, first-class citizen. Why not? There we are. We can see a number of them right in here, okay? Hello, everyone. Cornell, good to have you here. So right up here, you can see a number of these shapes that you may or may not have. Usually they come in all these crazy folders that honestly I don't care much for, right? They'll be hidden in a folder called animals, Well, geez, like, I'm in Photoshop. I'm in a visual medium. I don't want to have to read, huh? Who wants to read in Photoshop? Anybody? Anybody want to read in Photoshop? No, I don't want to read in Photoshop, right? Don't make me go into like animals. I usually just like to peruse them all visually, right? I can visually recognize whatever I'm looking for. So that's why I get rid of all the folders like that, right? I don't know if you guys do that as well. Do you guys do that? I don't know, Jennifer or Sig or Mary, do you guys like load everything in like this so it's easy to see? And I'll do that with all my panels, right? So even as we take a look at the gradients, right, and the patterns, right, all of them, I could see everything at a glance, right? And this is what I want Photoshop to look like. It's just like, give me, you know, visually everything that I want to see so I can add it accordingly, okay? There we are. Hopefully most of you are aware of this next one right here, Legacy Shapes and More. See that right there? Yeah, start using it. Okay, so Sig, you keep yours organized in groups. I can handle searching forever for to find what I want. Yeah, and that is a good point. Like if you did overload it, then yeah, that might be a case where maybe you can kind of group it in. But there were, don't give me a folder with only 4 items in it. It should be like animals, non-animals, and symbols. Those are the 3 categories I would make. Honestly, what I end up using most are these symbols, to be honest with you. All this stuff right down here. Okay, but how you get it stacked with everything is using Legacy Shapes and More, right? So this has been around forever. We'll add that right down here. You can see all these vector shapes, 2019 shapes. Let's twirl that down. Oh, good. Oh, yeah. We have a cactus folder. We don't... Ooh, sorry about that. I have so many zooms going on. I don't really need a cactus folder. I just don't need it. Like, some of this stuff, I'm like, oh, brother. Some of this is going to be really cool. Again, this graphic stuff I really like. So I typically just dump those all into their own folder. So we could have some fun with this, by the way. Let's just kind of jump in, grab this. When you're grabbing them from the Shapes panel, you bring them in, drop it in. It's going to add it as a shape layer, as you can see right over here. Let's grab this other one, drop it in like so. Okay, let's grab this circle. Why not? There it is. Now we have a number of options that we can start to work with. Cool. People, all that good stuff. So again, load this up. Use that content like I'm going to do now, right? Really fast. Let's go ahead and put her inside of this trippy thing. Now something interesting just happened, everyone. I don't know if you know this. Like, this is important stuff, I feel. I mean, as important as design gets, which is important, but again, we're just making the world a prettier place, I feel like, half the time. Okay, what happened? I added this photo to this shape, right? We can see that it has a stroke on it, right? Where the heck does stroke come from? Again, this hangs people up as well. So just select a vector tool off to the side, any one you want, and then go up here to your options bar. This options bar just uses your last settings. That's why it gets a little funky. What you can do is you can go in here and you can reset tool, right? That's an easy thing to do, a reset tool. But right in here, it's the fact that there's a stroke on it. We'll turn off that stroke like so. We've turned off that stroke and now everything is fine. Because again, you'll go over here. Where are you used to seeing strokes? Cornell, huh? Thank you very much. Cornell wants to get rid of the black border. And if you wanted to get rid of it, you would come over here, maybe you double click on the layer style and you'd be like, okay, well, where's like, there has to be a stroke in here somewhere. Is there? No, no stroke. So just be mindful of that right up there. Now everything looks good. The cool thing is by the way, since I've added, just to point this out really fast, let's just change the color of these really quick to something else. Everything has actually a black stroke associated with it. All of them do. We could select multiple graphics like I'm doing now, shift select multiple layers, turn off that stroke for all of them. Okay, now everything's reset. I'm happy. I can come in and start doing some trippy stuff with this just for fun, shall we? I do have a bigger plan involved, like that I'm going to do, just so you know. let's just make some clipping masks. Boom, boom, boom. There we are. All right. And we can offset this. Ready for this? We can make this look really trippy if I just kind of offset that a little bit. Yeah, now you're seeing double, triple, I don't know, right? Just kind of messing with your eyes at this point. Okay, let's take this circle, move this circle up. Again, just playing around at this point. All right, you got it. Let's load up. Again, we want to kind of trick out Photoshop to always work in our favor, right? So there we go. We got even more trippiness, right? Yeah, why not? Whoa, 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 right? Again, super fun. The reason I would actually create vector paths and then add it as a clipping mask is because we can, since these vector paths are resolution independent, I could shrink them down as much as I want, scale them up, and they're never gonna lose their clarity, their quality, right? There are vector paths as well, which I'll get into later, okay? Vector paths, just like you have raster paths, you have vector, vector masks is another way to do this, okay, just so you know. But anyways, this works for me. That's cool. We got some trippiness going on. Cool. Let's add some more trippiness to this, because what we want to do a lot of times is you probably will be working in Illustrator. So here I am in Illustrator. Sorry, it's so bright. I don't know if anybody has their apps this bright, but I had to crank it up the other day because just because I was presenting something and it was really hard to see. User interface. There we go. Let's tone this down. Easier on my eyes. Sorry about that, Carol. You okay? Is everybody okay? So here's just a graphic that I made in Illustrator. I can copy this, bring this in. In this case, I would paste it in as a, you guessed it, shape layer. Woo! Shape layer, okay. Because it's a solid color, solid shape, right? We see it right there. Bam, there it is. So if you find yourself using like the same shape a lot, bring it in, make sure you have it selected. So you, again, could just click on the direct selection tool and go to edit and then just define it as a custom shape. Yeah, thank you. Sig, we're on the same page. I'm not a huge fan of the frame tool. I'm sorry. I'm not, it's just not as intuitive for me. I don't use it. So here we have our burst. Boom, there's our burst. We've saved it. As we go in, and we will just get rid of all this crazy stuff that I imported earlier. But here it is. You can see it right down at the bottom here. Okay. So let me just delete this group. You can see I've already imported it, right? Because like I said, I use it all the time. Now let's do some more interesting things, shall we? Boom, boom. There's our burst. Now we can get even more crazy with this if we wanted to. Hurting everybody's brain. Right, already that's kind of cool, I think. Right? It's kind of a broken, shattered type image. I'll pause on that for a second. And then we're going to get into actually creating some vector paths and things like that, based actually on a photo. So yeah, if it's, what I would typically do there, Sig, is if it's an EPS file, I would open up in Illustrator and just do a copy and paste. Okay. But let's dive into this now. Okay, cool. Oh, I'm glad you're learning stuff. All right, so let's move on. We have that. That's done. Good job. Whatever's going on there is happening. Who knows what. Let's move that to the bottom. Get rid of that. Right, there we have that fun design. I don't know what I'm doing here at this point. It's okay. All right, let's move on. Because I actually have this cool photo right here. I really like this. And I think Photoshop is also a good representation, combining raster with vector. So it's very symbolic, this photo. One is raster, one is vector, but also, you know, we're all human here, and I want to do a cool piece based on Unity is what it comes down to. Yeah, add a gradient map and you got it. Oh yeah, love gradient maps. Ooh, yes, exactly. I also got somebody commenting on YouTube about animating those shapes would be really cool as well. So we can do all that stuff for sure. Let's kind of do something based on this real fast, okay? So I'm going to just jump in and I'm going to start playing around, and I'm going to use just quite simply the pen tool right over here. So we select our tool, we'll go up here, I typically make sure it's a shape, okay? If it happens to be a path, are you ready for this? And you go in here and you start outlining, because this is what happens to me all the time. I'll come in here, I'm like, okay, boom, boom, boom. You'll start creating something, right? I'll start creating this bottom part. And you realize, oh no, like, shoot. I closed that path. Shouldn't it be filled with something? This is a problem. Well, luckily, all you need to do is make it a solid color layer. Right over here, I'll do that again. I'll zoom in on it. Just make it a solid color layer. That's what you want to select, solid color, boom. And now we have that as a shape. So that's how you go from a path to a shape in Photoshop, just so you know. All right, let's get this party started. Typically, I'll typically select shape, by the way. We'll actually give this a little bit of a stroke so we know the size of it. Let's just have some fun. I want to create something cool. This is a masterclass. After all, we got, I think, Jason up next. The schedule's below me if you are on Behance. As I kind of come in and start outlining this, I'm just going to do this hand right here. Notice how we start to get this situation. I'll get around the corner in a second. Straight line, curve. I'm going to show you some pro tips when using the pen tool. Also relevant in Illustrator as well. So let's go down, let's click there, stretch that out. Right up here, go, do it, do it, do it, do it. I'm trying to get to the point where the black overlaps a point that I'm trying to click on. But you get this weird thing where you're like, oh, this black fill is kind of getting in the way, right? I ultimately want it to be a fill, right? Let's go straight line, boom. Right up here, like I get this weird crossing. Just come over to the fill in your layers panel, and here you can take this down to 0 if you want. You take it down to 0, you don't need to worry about that. What do you do to get all the shapes? The trippy, all that stuff, just go to your shapes panel and then go to legacy shapes and more as I drink some coffee. All right, you really want to like take Photoshop to the next level. Like I said, you could bring stuff in from Illustrator, and not only that, Illustrator has a ton of free shapes as well. We'll go down here to symbol libraries. You can get into this like florid vector pack. You want to have some cool bird wings or something that you might use a lot of. I don't know, maybe these wings. But bringing this will break link to that symbol, and now I can bring this into Photoshop as a symbol as well. So just like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like pimp out? Is that, no, that's not a word. That's not something I usually say, but like we want to optimize Photoshop so we can work faster, because once we get that job and need to get to work, well, that's when we get busy. So in our downtime, our copious downtime, is when we'd want to load this stuff into Photoshop. Speaking of time, I just appreciate you all joining me today. Steve's in the house. Mel, good to have you here as well. Just appreciate you guys. This is we're making an image about Unity, so I'm going to add some type and some graphics to this as well. Okay. There we go. We have that done. We have that outlined. By the way, I can actually, you can see the line right up here, and I can thicken up the line for you. If I'm presenting, I can crank this up to 3 points, so it's nice and thick so you can see it. Also, the rubber band is selected, okay? But I'll do one because then it's not as distracting. Might be kind of hard to see. I can always bring up the size of that line like so. And we also have different stroke options that we can change. I don't think a lot of people know that you can actually jump in and add a dotted line just like you can in Illustrator, but you're doing it in Photoshop, right? Your alignment, see how all that's squared away? It should, why does it, there we go. Let's change, wait, what? Okay, so this is the issue. So check this out. It's actually all on the inside. That's kind of what I want, but if you ever have any alignment issues where you actually want the dotted line to be in the center, you could switch that to the second option under Align, right? There we go, just like that, and now it's in the center. These are hidden little options, right? Guess what? You have more options as well that you could jump to, and it's just basically adding those gaps. So is this blowing your mind yet? Come on, Jennifer. Downtime, what's that? I hear ya, you know? Who in here is a workaholic? I know I am. I keep on giving myself more personal projects. It's like, technically I do have free time. I just tend to fill it with stuff, right? Just like I'm filling this hand with black or white. I'll change this to just a white or a gray. There we have that. Let's kind of move on because I want to get into more pen tips and tricks because I've kind of knocked knocked that one out so far, which is just that hand. All right, let's move on. I actually want to make something cool for once. How about that? Let's make something cool for once, huh? And this is a case where, you know what? It's like anything worth doing just typically takes time, right? Or you've spent the time learning it, which is the only reason you're fast at it, right? So right in here, I'm just going to kind of make that background layer, if you will, for this arm. Like that. There we are. Take that, drop it beneath, and now we'll have that like that. Okay, cool. Let's get into some of these tips and tricks that I want to show you. Okay. Where do we begin? Actually, you know what? I want this to be white. Everything's going to be white. I typically outline everything. Doesn't matter if I'm in Photoshop or Illustrator. Like a lot of times these are like the same tools. And the cool thing is I can show you how to bounce between Illustrator and Photoshop too if you want to. Okay. So there's that background hand. It's the foreground. We'll take this down to 1. Maybe we'll keep that actually a little bit thicker so everybody can see it. There we go, like so. All right, then I'll typically turn those off. Let's come in here to this hand, for instance. I have that overlay, right? P for pen, just like in Illustrator. So you think you're learning Photoshop, but you're actually also learning Illustrator at this point. At this point right here, notice how it has this rubber band effect, so it's actually projecting that line. But if you actually accidentally misstep, you're like, oh no, I actually put it down there. I haven't lit up on my mouse. Okay, Michelle? I can hit the space bar, and the space bar allows me to pick up that last point and move it into position. So space bar will allow you to pick up that point before you let up on your mouse, so you can go in and do what you need to do, right? Let's change this to white. That looks pretty good. Another thing, by the way, like I still have the pen tool selected so I can continue this line, but I'm noticing part of this is screwed up. You could always hold the command key down and then click on that point and edit it, because I need to just smooth that out a little bit, right? So again, just hold down the command key, probably control key on PC, and then you can edit that line and then continue to work like I'm doing now, okay? That's all I want to do. I want to hit escape. We'll zoom out. Let's turn on these other lines. That looks pretty good, right? Something like that. Let's continue on my way. I got so much to do and still more to show you. How's everyone doing today? You guys doing well? Levant probably might be it's going to be a power thing. If you're not able to jump between Photoshop and Illustrator, chances are it's going to be a processor thing. Sure. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I've been using the pen tool. Now I want to get into the Freeform Pen Tool, which again is like the pencil tool. So let's switch to it, because if I want to make more organic lines, I could draw. I could always stop at any point. Let me actually thicken up that line. Crank it up. And let's actually make this transparent, so everybody can see. There we go. Let's take the fill down. There we are. Now we can see that line, right? Just draw. I could stop at any point, pick back up where I stopped, come down, and just start to draw. Notice how it actually does make pretty smooth points, even though I'm using just a mouse and it's kind of choppy. Bring that up there like that. Cool. If you have closed the shape made with the pen tool, how can you edit its start anchoring point and its handles? You could always go back and edit these points for sure. Right over here, we would select the, just like we would do in Illustrator, we'd use the direct selection tool or just hit A, right? So let's zoom back out. I can always go back to the first one, whether it's a closed path or not. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully I'm understanding what you're saying, because I can always go back, even if it is a closed shape, like you said. If I decide that this shape isn't quite up to par right here, I could zoom in and tweak this like so. If for some reason I want to change a point right here, notice how this point, maybe I want it to be curved, I will use the Convert Point tool right over here, right? Convert Point tool, right? And just kind of curve that out like that. Okay, cool. Can you select multiple points in Photoshop? For sure. It'd be silly if you couldn't, right? What do? We use the direct selection tool. Bam, right in there. Click and drag a box over those points, and now I can move those points together, as you can see, right? Move them back like so. Okay, let's try to make a design you guys want to make. Otherwise, all this is useless if you're not making something that you actually would want to make. Is my 2 cents, my little soapbox, if you will. There we are. Fill it, baby, fill it up. Jump in here, and we'll just do a couple more of these lines, if you don't mind, like so. We have these fingers. Oh yeah. Let's do this one. Oops. The one mistake I continue to make is the fact that you could be on the Freeform Pen Tool or the pen tool, and the only difference is like this little squiggly line. Otherwise they look the same. Okay, same thing for the curvature tool. It's this very small line that's kind of hard to notice, to be honest with you. So just be mindful of that, and we will get into that in a second. There we go. Pen tool, that's what I want. Wait for it. Moving as fast as I can as I start to outline this. We'll do this pretty fast, and then I want to get into mixing the raster part with all of this as well. Done. Next. For these little organic pieces, Freeform Pen Tool, zoop, zoop, make it fast, done. Right? I keep on forgetting to change the fill every time I make this. Let's go right over here. Let's do this one right over here. So again, the fill color is going to be based on my foreground color. That's why it keeps defaulting to black. I needed to switch it to white. But it's going to be these settings that you have initially. Those are going to be your default settings. Let's come right up here. Work it, work it. Looks good. Change that to 5. What else do we have? Right in here, I have most of that stuff. I need this finger right in here. And then it's gonna really be interesting as I start to work with each layer and it's where it's at in the stacking order in my layers panel. Like that. Okay, this one, guess what? I need this one to be in the bottom. If you're doing a lot of vector work or if you're just working with a lot of layers, chances are going to be moving things up and down a lot. I typically use shortcut keys, right? Command, close bracket, Command, open bracket, move it up and down. You can hold down the Shift key, close bracket, bam, drops it clear to the very bottom layer, which is almost where I want it. Okay? Happy birthday, Sig Brown. Today's your birthday, Sig Brown. Good to have you here on your lovely birthday. Awesome. Very good. Let's get into this. So many shortcuts. The great thing is shape layers work the same way as pixel-based layers. If I want to select that layer, I usually hold down the Command key and then click on it, and then it will select that layer in my layer panel. Then I can grab it and move it wherever I want. Yeah, that's pretty good. All right, cool. That's pretty good for now. I'm going to fast forward a little bit, just so you can kind of see a more advanced version, shall we? Because I through the hard work of, you know, outlining everything already. And here it is. Oops. Let's open this up again. All right, let's just quit out of Photoshop altogether. All right, let's try this one more time. Yeah, Sig Brown, where do you live? Just curious. All right. I'm back. This is not the last live today, by the way. It is not. All right, you ready for this? Oh, Washington State up near the Canadian border. Awesome. Hello from Armenia. I see you over there. Awesome. Okay. Sorry, looks like... let's dive into this. So I created this outline. Okay, we can see it here. I want to add some color to it and some depth, right? So what I'll do is I'll into its like basic colors, maybe only 3 or 4 colors. Then you can go to, actually let's convert this to a smart object. Layer, new adjustment layer. Let me actually see if posterize is down here. Oh yeah, it is. Okay, so posterize is also down here. Let's zoom in on that action. Posterize. It is an adjustment layer. Boom, posterize. It's been around forever. Shouldn't be buffering anymore, by the way, Susan. So what that does is obviously posterizes this, and then I can kind of deduce this down, as you can see right up here, down to 8 colors, 5 colors. I want like 3 colors. 3 colors looks really good, but this is what I'm going for, right? Maybe 4. I don't know. Let's try 4. 4 is also good. Between 3 and 4, right? But then I'd kind of go in and start creating my own outlines of these darker areas. So P for pen. Let's turn that off and we can kind of see the difference. The cool thing is, unlike Illustrator, you can posterize things in Illustrator, but it's like a one and done deal. Like if you didn't save the image, the photo, then you can't really go back. So that's why I like working in Photoshop. I have posterize. I can change this from 4 to 3 and kind of figure out what depth I want. I think I actually will go with 3. And I'll come in and I'll start just kind of blocking in all this color. So this is basically my reference at the top. And then I can jump in and start working on this. Selecting this one, this shape, let's make that black. This one right here, let's make that black, like so. More I need to draw in as well. Let's turn this back on. Okay, 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 I see it, I see it. Right? Come right up here. P for pen. Actually, you know what? Yeah, let's use just the pen tool. This is fine. Kind of draw this out a little bit. Really fast. Let's do a nice curve right here. Right? Sell that depth a little bit. In fact, let's go right in here. Let's change, click, click. Again, like I said earlier, if you have paths that you need to fix, hold down the Command key. That's going to switch to your direct selection tool. So right up here, I'm like, well, do I want that curve like that? I need to fix it like that. Guess what? Even while you're still drawing the path, going in and adding an anchor point, boom, right there, right? Going back to direct selection, kind of bring that up and tweak it, and then I can continue drawing my line here in a second. There it is, projecting the next line, click, click. This doesn't have to be hard, huh? Going up here like so, okay? Zoom out, make sure it's filled with black, turn off my reference layer, and we've just filled in this part, okay? Awesome. Hello from Switzerland, Isabel. Good to have you here. I'm going to do one more and then I'm going to skip ahead again so we can get into some more advanced options as well. So right up here again, the same process coming over here too. Let's take a look. Oh, this shape right here. This one could be all black like that. This one is technically all black. Black side of that. But then on top of it, I'm going to draw just using the pen tool. Actually, let's do this. Let's go to the Freeform Pen Tool. And I'll just draw an outline. Like so. Okay? Turn that off. There it is. Okay? Pretty simple overall, right? Hopefully this is making sense. I'm going to add some custom shapes that I've imported from Illustrator here shortly. But let's get all this in first, like that. Oh yeah, this hand, definitely. Let's do it. How's everyone doing today, huh? What, it's been rainy and everything in Washington? What? It's rainy in Washington? What? That's crazy. Just kidding. Interesting fact, I'm here in Colorado, and it actually, typically in the summertime when it gets really hot, it rains like every afternoon. So people are always like, oh, they'll look at the forecast. Oh, it's going to rain in Colorado. Oh, it's always rainy there. Yeah, for like 20 minutes. And just kind of like water the flowers and the plants, and then it's all better. So that's usually Colorado weather in a nutshell. By the way, I could always turn off that reference because that's what I need to do in this case. Turning that off, continuing that line, zoop, up around, turn that back on, go down, around, you get the idea. There we go. Changing this, because I keep forgetting to change my foreground color back to black since I'm shading this, right? Yes, it did. Jennifer, snows in the mountains a few days ago. Photographic proof. I believe you. We had like crazy, we had a little bit of hail a couple days ago, I think, like maybe 5 days ago. Right. Again, the nice thing about this is I can go into posterize and say, hey, you know what? I want to bring in more colors, right? I can adjust the levels like so, and then work off of, say, having grays in here. But I'm going to fast forward a little bit because I don't have a lot of time. We could have fun with this, by the way. So I'm not doing a direct interpretation of that photo, right? What's the fun in that? I'll jump in, use custom shape tool, maybe grab that heart like we've used in the beginning, and jump in here and do like a heart, for instance, right? We could do that. We could add this heart. We could have this heart on only part of the photo. I think also what would be cool is to split this. So we're going to be playing largely with black and whites. Let's try this as well. Going to just a regular rectangle tool. Making sure it's set to shape, drawing that out like so. We can have half of this be black. We will duplicate that heart, and then for that heart, we will start to remove some points right in here. So let's select this, remove, remove like that, okay? Now for this side, it's gonna be white. Bam. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud here. Your mother's house lost power. Wow. Huh. Yeah, so down in Pueblo, I think is where, well, it's probably like a week ago. But up here in Denver, we had a little bit of hail about, I don't know, about 5 days ago. But yeah, you do not want to lose power. I don't care where you are. Okay, so running into this situation, we're down here. I actually want to extend the heart, and I'm not sure if this is gonna look good or not, but hey, why not try it? Extending this down, 1, 2, 3. Let's extend it down right there. Actually, no, let's extend down both of this because it's like I need to complete that heart for it to, in order for it to register as a heart, I need to bring all of this down like that. Okay, so it needs to register as a heart on both sides because I'm not quite getting that. Hopefully that makes sense. Like down here, it just kind of needs a little bit like that. That's what it needs, right? Just need to bring that down a little bit more. Maybe, maybe not. I'm open to suggestions, by the way. Bring that out like so. There we are. I don't know. Just trying something. Yeah, so does it get confusing? Does it get confusing seeing... Too confusing to see the white on both the black and white hand? Gray on the lighter bits of the black hand would be good. Clarissa says it looks great. My big issue is that how legible is it? Legibility is key, right? It has one job, and it's to be legible. I actually think I need to get rid of all these the strokes. So let me get rid of the strokes everywhere just to see what happens, because I don't think the strokes really add anything to it. Let's see what that does. Too hard to read? Maybe introduce red, maybe introduce a pattern, right? We could have some fun with this. That's actually kind of where I'm going with all this. We want to define this more. Great idea. So let's do that. We'll come in here, holding down the command key. I can select that shape layer. What's nice about this is I can go in and I can grab some patterns or some gradients. So right in here, I can grab legacy patterns again. All these fun legacy patterns that I can kind of pick from if I want to. Yeah, you want some plaid. I wanted to go for these like engraved patterns right in here. Maybe this will work, maybe it won't. Let's try it. Crosshatch, yeah, it's basically is. The reason I like this pattern is it feels like kind of like a fingerprint and just obviously gives it some texture. So yeah, we want bigger, better, more. We could always do that. Come in here, double click, let's scale this up. See me scale up those lines like so. Some new stuff is coming for Photoshop around patterns that I can't tell you about, but I'm excited about. So we have that. Let's jump ahead a little bit. Maybe it needs something more in the background. Maybe it needs something different. Maybe these two things are kind of confusing. All right. Maybe it needs the burst that I brought in from Illustrator. All right, save it. Let's jump ahead a little bit more. Actually, let's go into this one. It's a little bit more refined. Okay, tell me what you think of this. And again, I only have 10 minutes. But here's a case where, you know what, we've used all, this is mostly vector. Okay, so you think it should be colorful with a combination. Okay, so all I have is black and white. I think you are right. I think it actually needs a number of things. Let's actually jump in here. Let's go with the heart again. Let's go like that. I just hope that reads as a heart is my only issue. I will work on it. Okay. Again, the nice thing that this is vector, I can jump in, and if we wanted different colors for different parts, we can do that. So let's just try that with the fingers and everything. Okay. I'm really into pink. Let's try this. See what happens. This might really destroy its legibility, but I think it's worth a try for you. All right. Let's dive into the teals. Down here, even though we're getting into different colors, the parts that definitely need to be darker is going to be just a darker hue. So that should be blue. This one up here can be a little brighter. Open to suggestions. How we doing, everybody? How are we doing? How's everybody's day going? We got Jason Levine up next doing a little... yes. What is mastering? Yes. Yeah, there we go. Mastering audio in Audition. Trying some different colors. Love the pink. Just can't get enough of it. Let's go to that color like so. Let me finish this, and then I would love to get everybody's advice. Blue, this or teal. Thoughts? Okay, so look away for a minute, then look back, and it's confusing and not legible. All right, Steve, here we go. We want to fix that. I talked about mixing raster and vector. We still have that original hand. So could this original hand help us out in some way? So I'm going to ungroup them from that folder, and I'm going to clip it. Actually, yeah, I'm going to clip it to the hand, like so. Now we can start to play. We could potentially add more detail. Let's turn off this. Here's the original hand. Here's the posterize. But more importantly, let's kind of come in and play with, you know, adding that as an overlay on top, right? So this, you're right, it does make it more legible when we add that layer, like a darker color, yeah? And adding that post-rise. So let's just play with this a little bit. I'm gonna go down, see what this does for us. Hard light, looks pretty cool, right? That kind of gives us our shadows. Better? Let me know what you think, everybody. All right, what is this? I got some extra little pieces that I will change. Like that one. And this one. All right. Yeah, Steve, I think to your point, I think it's always good to kind of step away and then come back. Because right now it's looking a little like, I don't know, I think I've been staring at it too long, to be honest with you. And I'm actually looking at it on the smaller screen. Here's another thing that needs to happen. Okay. Okay, mucho better. All right, so check this out. We can really start mixing this content. I don't have a lot of time. I'm going to do a Command J to jump. I'm going to duplicate this layer. I'm going to bring some of this inside here. So I think I'm going to grab like, and again, I'm not, let's turn that off. Let's go here. Let's turn that off. This is actually what I would do, by the way, is actually let's turn off that background circle as well. No, it's fine. All right. Anyway, people, I would probably come in and start using this to clip onto the different layers. So I would take this, I would turn off this stuff. I would go to that yellow. I would take this down to the yellow, right? And then I would just focus on the yellow and see how this interacts with it. See what it's doing right here? For this part of the hand, I would pick the appropriate blend mode, which would probably be screen for just this portion. Yeah, so on the left hand, as it comes off as white. Yeah, Jasu, so yeah, so we're having that situation where we need to be able to control how this light gets treated, or how this blend mode, this layer in this blend mode gets treated per whatever part that it's on. So when it's on this, right down here, zoom down. Which part is even turned on at this point? Ah, it's up here. That was that piece. Okay, wait, hold for a second. I want that one. There we go. I dragged it down too far. Let's bring this up. I only have a couple minutes. Ah, Jason, help me. I don't have much time. Let's clip that. Now we want to change this probably to one of these darker areas. So let's go with darken. Let's change the color to something else. This needs more work. And my deadline is almost up. My deadline is almost up, everyone. There we go. Anyway, I'll start playing with this, or excuse me, I will keep playing with this some more. I think our idea is definitely solid. We're mixing lots of vector and raster. We are going to have our type in here as well. I think each one of these bands right here needs to be a different color. Here's one way you can do that, by the way. Let's jump in here. I want to have these different bands. P for pen, click. click. Well, let's go out even further. Click, 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 and back in. Boom, there it is. I just made this shape. Now, watch this. You ready? Option Command T. Oh, hold on. Yeah, that's right. Option Command T, and then rotate it. Right? And I'm sorry, I cannot see the center at this point, but I can rotate it like so, right? And then hit Enter. Now I'm going to do a step and repeat. Now if I hold on Shift, Option, Command T, boom, 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 like that. What I've just done is I've made these individual like lines or bars that I can then colorize and put behind the circle. Cool. That's it for me, everybody. Thanks so much for hanging out. Jason Levine's up next. I really appreciate you guys. Stay safe, everyone. I appreciate you. We'll see you soon. Thanks, everybody.